first poem is about three women in my family, on my father's side, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my aunt. And our family, as my aunt says, in those days, people didn't always get married. So this is about family relationships. The first one is called Minnie Hasseltine Turner Hawkins Powers. They say Aunt May was born with a veil, and I've always had the sight. Once, when I was just a little thing, I said, "That big black bull's a-going to gore me." Scared my folks so bad we moved to town. I don't know who my real daddy was. Pap Hawkins took me in when he married Mama after his first wife died with the last baby. I was 17 when I first saw Angus Frick, standing outside Lowenberg's dry goods, smoking a meerschaum pipe, orange as beaver's teeth. He had buck's eyes and skin the color of cured tobacco. He loud as how his pappy preached to the Cherokee when they stopped for a spell on the Trail of Tears. They called him Raven and gave him the chief's daughter. I dimpled and asked Angus to show me how he loaded his pipe. In the sawdust under a pumpkin moon, with Papa's axe glinting in the chopping block, he thrust his way under my petticoats. In the back of the family Bible I wrote, Esther Jane Hawkins was born the 14th day of July, 1893. That was grandmother. Esther Jane Turner Hawkins Powers Craver. I first laid eyes on John at the county fair, wearing a jaunty hat and smoking a cigar. I winked. When he didn't follow me, I went round and winked again. John quit school after 6th grade to lay brick after his mama died of the diphtheria. That was Laura Bell Dula, don't you know? The one whose father went to California in the gold rush and was never heard of. When the Great War come, John talked about joining up. I had a hard fit. I was so afraid of losing him. On the marriage certificate, I signed my name, Esther Jane Powers. Then I tore the record page with my maiden name out of the back of the family Bible. In them days, you couldn't stay in nursing school if you was married. I went ahead and studied on my own. Then I took the train up to Chicago and passed the exam. That's how we got through the Great Depression, when there weren't much call for bricklaying. I helped the doctor deliver babies, and come fair time, I'd dress up as a gypsy, and for $1 or $2, that was a lot of money in them days, I'd read poems or tea leaves or cards. I quit telling fortunes the day a woman asked if she ought to kill her husband. That's me with all them medals on my bosom at the War Mothers Convention. No one ever knew I wasn't a real daughter of the American Revolution like my half-sister Dorothy. John followed me until he fell off that scaffold. They carried him up the hill the day I turned up the ace of spades next to the king of hearts. That was Grandma. This is my aunt, Esther Jane Craver Helene. Some boys from over to Heron came down to look over the girls in Murfreesboro. The one they called Taffy had caramel skin and melt-in-your-mouth eyes. Ever since I was a young girl, I've had this here white streak in my black hair, so I knew right off he was going to be my husband. That was a long time ago. Now when I look in the mirror, I say, "Hi, Mom." I told fortunes the same way she did until my husband threatened to leave me. We were walking down Walnut Street when Maxine Louise from my sorority asked me to read her poem. "EJ," he said, "I'm a businessman. I can't have that." People believe anything you tell them, and they'll make it come true. Then they say, "She's good. See these lines here? I should have had many affairs. Is my husband in bed?" Now I grow herbs and play with my grandchildren, but sometimes when I wake at 4, I go out and read the stars. And this is a short one. This is about 2 different relationships called Sunday Comics. The paper boy's perfect pitch fell short whenever he lobbed the ponderous Sunday paper, flinging it into the prickly cedar shrub full of bagworms. We got thrown together like that, hurled by an unseen hand, melting skin and the scrawl of tangled hair, rolled tight with a knot no one could pick, until the string broke, and a foul wind blew us apart. I looked for you in every packing box under every ravaged bush. Years later, I got wrapped around a transplant of wet raspberry roots, then dumped between the campaign to save Tibet and the Music Box Society news. We're both wrinkled and don't fold too well, but when you wear that shabby straw hat with a tattered blue jay feather, you make me laugh. Okay, our last theme is